The multi-million-dollar smile has officially been wiped away, and the polished, untouchable facade of Hollywood's highest-paid comedian has just been pulverized. For over a decade, Kevin Hart has sold you the ultimate underdog story, the narrative of the unstoppable grinder who built a massive empire through sheer hustle and unbreakable positivity. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling, the PR handlers look the other way, and the ghosts of your past corner you in a cold, concrete hallway with absolutely nowhere to run? Leaked, raw, and deeply disturbing footage has just hit the dark corners of the internet, completely exposing a secret, off-camera confrontation between Kevin Hart and the loyal, street-tied affiliates of Katt Williams. And let me warn you right now, what you are about to hear is not a comedy sketch. It is the chilling, ego-shattering moment a Hollywood giant was physically and psychologically broken. We are talking about a full-blown collapse. Kevin Hart, on his knees, shivering, weeping, and begging for mercy, while Katt Williams' men look down on him and laugh. But why did he break? What terrifying secret did they hold over him to make him surrender his dignity in seconds? The truth is darker than anyone could have ever imagined, and it's about to change the entertainment industry forever. To truly comprehend the catastrophic weight of this leaked footage, you have to realize that this moment wasn't an accident. This wasn't a random spat backstage or a sudden misunderstanding fueled by ego. This was the violent, inevitable explosion of a pressure cooker that has been boiling for 11 long, bitter years. This is the ultimate climax of the most venomous, deeply personal, and highly orchestrated feud in the history of modern entertainment. Look back at the board, connect the dots, and you will see the warning signs flashing in neon red. On one side, you have Kevin Hart, the corporate darling, the safe, sanitized, heavily insured face of blockbuster franchises. He is the man endorsed by billionaires, backed by the most powerful studios on the planet, and carefully molded to be the perfect, uncontroversial cash cow. On the other side, you have Katt Williams, the undisputed renegade, the raw, unfiltered truth-teller who famously rejected the Hollywood machine, leaving tens of millions of dollars on the table because he absolutely refused to sell his soul or bend the knee to the Hollywood elite. These two men represent completely opposite sides of the universe, and a collision between them wasn't just likely, it was destined to leave massive casualties. Since 2014, Katt Williams has been desperately trying to warn the world. He dropped heavy hints in interviews, calling Kevin a puppet, a manufactured industry plant whose strings were being violently pulled by shadowy executives behind closed doors. Remember when Katt compared him to Kermit the Frog on stage in Atlanta? That wasn't just a stand-up joke, it was a targeted assassination of Kevin's authenticity. And remember the infamous Breakfast Club interview in 2018? Kevin finally snapped. He broke his unbothered, endlessly positive character to viciously attack Katt, claiming Katt ruined his own career and squandered his blessings. Kevin thought he won that round. He thought his massive Netflix deals and sold-out stadium tours made him invincible to the truth. But then came January 2024. The world-stopping, internet-breaking Club Shay Shay interview. Katt Williams sat on Shannon Sharpe's couch and didn't just talk. He dropped nuclear bombs. He meticulously dismantled Kevin Hart's entire origin story, claiming Kevin literally took every single role that Katt turned down for moral reasons. He exposed the industry's dark underbelly, hinting at unholy alliances, rigged success, and the terrifying price of mainstream fame. Kevin tried to brush it off with a sarcastic tweet. He called it sad and went right back to promoting his latest movie, hiding behind the corporate shield he always uses to deflect reality. But Katt wasn't playing a public relations game. He was playing chess. And for the last 2 years, his loyal affiliates, men who have stood by Katt through his darkest legal battles, men who do not care about Kevin's security details, his PR team, or his VIP access, have been watching, waiting, and plotting. They knew that sooner or later, Kevin Hart would have to step out from behind the velvet ropes. They knew the Hollywood plant couldn't hide in his billion-dollar Calabasas mansion forever. The tension was suffocating. The entire industry held its breath, knowing Katt had drawn a line in the sand that Kevin could not cross without severe consequences. Everyone thought the recent Netflix roast was the end of it, a forced, awkward olive branch on live television that supposedly buried the hatchet. But we now know that handshake wasn't peace. It was bait. And Kevin Hart walked right into the trap. The real reckoning didn't happen under the bright lights of the Kiev Forum, where Kevin had the upper hand. It happened in the shadows, where Hollywood money means absolutely nothing, setting the stage for a total psychological collapse. Let me paint the exact, terrifying picture of what went down, because the details of this leaked footage will make your blood run cold. It is well past 2 in the morning. The massive after-parties have finally died down. The glittering celebrities, the managers, and the endless parade of yes-men have all gone home. Kevin Hart is walking down a dimly lit, desolate VIP corridor of a private event space. For the first time in years, he is entirely alone. There are no massive bodyguards flanking him. There are no publicists whispering in his ear. Suddenly, the corridor goes dead quiet, save for the heavy, echoing footsteps of 4 men stepping out from the shadows, effectively blocking his only exit. These aren't paparazzi looking for a scoop. These aren't fans asking for a quick selfie. These are Katt Williams' most trusted, hardened affiliates. These are men who carry the heavy, unspoken weight of the streets, men who have watched their brother fight the industry machine for a decade. In the grainy, cell phone-recorded footage, you can literally see Kevin's body language instantly disintegrate. The confident, chest-out swagger vanishes in a microsecond. He freezes in his tracks. The untouchable alpha male persona evaporates into thin air. The lead affiliate, a massive figure draped in black, steps forward. He doesn't yell. He doesn't raise his voice. He speaks with a low, menacing calm that is 10 times more terrifying than a scream. "The cameras are off now, Kev," the man says, his voice dripping with venom. All that acting, all that faking for the executives, it stops right here. We want the truth. Katt wants the truth. Kevin's eyes dart wildly around the hallway, desperately searching for a security detail that isn't coming. You can hear his voice tremble. It is a high-pitched, frantic stutter. "Listen guys, come on man, me and Katt are good. We squashed it. I offered him the olive branch. We shook on it." But the affiliates do not move an inch. One of them pulls out a thick manila envelope from his jacket and tosses it violently at Kevin's feet. "We don't care about your little Netflix stunt," the second man growls, stepping closer. "We care about 2018. We care about the backdoor deals. We care about what you told those studio heads to blackball our brother." This is the exact moment the psychological dam breaks. Kevin Hart, the man who commands stadiums of 80,000 people, begins to visibly hyperventilate. The footage shows him backing up step by step until his spine hits the cold concrete wall. He is cornered like prey. The men step closer, invading his personal space, trapping him in a suffocating circle of sheer intimidation. "I didn't do it. I swear to God, I didn't make those calls," Kevin pleads, his voice cracking, real tears welling in his eyes. But the affiliates press harder. They start listing specific dates, specific executives, and specific, unholy compromises Kevin allegedly made to secure his throne in Hollywood. The accusations are so precise, so devastatingly accurate, that Kevin's legs physically give out. Right there, on camera, Kevin Hart collapses. He drops straight to his knees. He buries his face in his trembling hands, sobbing uncontrollably. The billionaire comedian is weeping like a broken child. "I'm sorry," he wails, his voice echoing tragically in the empty hall. "I'm so sorry, man. I had to do it. They made me. They said if I didn't play along, I'd lose everything. Please, don't do this to me." He is folding his hands, begging for mercy, stripping away every single ounce of his dignity. But the most bone-chilling part of the video is not Kevin's crying. It is the reaction of Katt's men. They don't touch him. They don't hit him. They just stand over his shivering, pathetic frame, looking down at him, and they start to laugh. A deep, mocking, triumphant laughter that echoes off the walls. They broke the unbreakable man without throwing a single punch. But brace yourself, because the story does not end with Kevin crying on the floor. Right as the video reaches its most humiliating peak, a massive, industry-shaking twist reveals itself. Everyone who watched those initial leaks naturally assumed that Katt Williams' affiliates were the ones holding the camera. It made perfect sense. Corner your enemy, film his destruction, and ruin his legacy. But a prominent underground investigative journalist analyzed the camera angles, the reflections on the hallway glass, and the audio, and dropped a bombshell that just sent massive shockwaves through Hollywood. Katt Williams' camp did not film this video. In fact, Katt's affiliates were under strict orders to only secure a verbal confession for private leverage. So who was holding the camera? The digital footprint of the footage was traced back to a burner phone located inside Kevin Hart's own sprawling headquarters. Let that sink in for a second. The person who stood there, watching Kevin Hart cry on his knees, wasn't one of Katt's guys. It was a mole, a traitor, someone on Kevin's own inner security team, someone who was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to protect his life, was secretly working with the opposition. And the betrayal goes even deeper, because the cameraman didn't just record the crying. He recorded the exact moment Kevin, in his sheer panic, accidentally screamed out a name. Through his panicked sobs, Kevin begged the affiliates not to expose him because it would ruin his deal with a very specific, highly powerful elite figure in the industry. A name so dangerous, so tied to the darkest parts of Hollywood, that the affiliate holding the camera suddenly gasps, and the footage abruptly cuts to black. Kevin didn't just confess to betraying Katt. In his sheer terror, he accidentally exposed the puppet master pulling his strings, and his own team captured the entire catastrophic confession on film. The moment this devastating 45-second clip hit the encrypted servers of the dark web, it was like throwing a lit match into a powder keg. Within hours, snippets began violently leaking onto X, Reddit, and TikTok. The internet didn't just break, it completely self-destructed. The hashtag Kevin Hart Exposed shot to #1 worldwide, generating over 4 million tweets in less than 6 hours. TikTok forensic experts began slowing down the footage frame by frame, analyzing the sheer terror in Kevin's eyes, and dissecting the muffled audio to decipher the billionaire's name Kevin accidentally screamed while he was sobbing on the concrete. Behind the heavily guarded gates of Kevin Hart's sprawling Calabasas estate, insider sources tell us it was absolute, unmitigated pandemonium. Leaked reports from within Heartbeat Productions claim that Kevin's billion-dollar crisis management team was screaming into phones, frantically offering blank checks to tech companies to scrub the video from the internet. They threatened massive lawsuits, filed aggressive copyright claims, and called in every single favor they had in Silicon Valley. But you cannot scrub a virus once it has infected the entire globe. The social media reactions were visceral and absolutely ruthless. A fake Twitter thread from a verified industry insider went unfathomably viral, stating, "I work at a major studio. We just got an emergency email at 3 a.m. Kevin Hart is officially radioactive. Deals are being pulled as we speak." Fans couldn't believe what they were witnessing. "I literally cannot process this," read one top comment with over 200,000 likes. Kevin Hart, the loudest, most confident man in the room, begging for his life and selling out Hollywood elites to save himself? Katt Williams literally told us this man was a puppet. The industry backlash was immediate and apocalyptic. The untouchable aura of the Hollywood A-list had been shattered, and Kevin's so-called friends abandoned him at warp speed. Celebrities who were front row laughing at his Netflix roast just days ago began quietly and desperately scrubbing their Instagram pages. Photos of Kevin with The Rock, Pete Davidson, and A-list studio heads quietly vanished into thin air. Total, eerie silence fell over Hollywood. Nobody defended him. Nobody posted a message of support. According to a leaked PR memo sent to top-tier celebrities, the strict gag order was chilling. Do not engage. Do not defend Kevin Hart. If you attach your name to him right now, you will go down with the ship. To make matters infinitely worse, a massive streaming giant, rumored to be Netflix themselves, reportedly put a highly anticipated $50 million comedy project with Hart on indefinite pause, citing catastrophic brand damage. Kevin Hart was watching his empire burn to ash. But if you thought the humiliation was the worst part of this scandal, hold your breath. Because at exactly 2 p.m. today, a second, infinitely more terrifying twist completely changed the narrative and turned this celebrity drama into a high-stakes thriller. Everyone, and I mean everyone, assumed that Katt Williams' affiliates were the ones who ambushed Kevin in that hallway. It made perfect sense. It was the ultimate revenge for years of trash talk. But then, an official statement was released by Katt Williams' lead attorney. And it was only 3 sentences long. We have reviewed the leaked footage. Mr. Williams has absolutely zero affiliation with the men in that hallway. We do not know who those men are. I need you to stop and seriously think about what that means. Let this sink into your bones. If Katt Williams did not send those men, who did? Underground investigative journalists immediately began piecing together the horrifying reality. The 4 men in the hallway were not Katt Williams' street ties. They were highly trained mercenaries, hired to pose as Katt's affiliates. But hired by who? The answer is the very same billionaire puppet master that Kevin Hart accidentally named while he was crying on the floor. It was a loyalty test. The Hollywood elites knew the tension with Katt Williams was reaching a boiling point, and they needed to know if their billion-dollar industry plant would keep his mouth shut if he was ever truly cornered. They sent ghosts into that hallway to press him, to terrify him, to see if he would protect the dark secrets of the industry. And Kevin Hart failed the test miserably. The second he felt pressure, he dropped to his knees, started sobbing, and instantly offered to sell out the Hollywood elite to save his own skin. He squealed. He didn't just expose himself to the internet. He proved to the most dangerous, powerful people in the entertainment industry that he is a massive liability. He is a loose end. And in Hollywood, loose ends are dealt with ruthlessly. As of exactly 3 hours ago, something deeply disturbing happened. Kevin Hart's massive Calabasas mansion went entirely dark. Private aviation trackers show an unfiled, sudden flight out of a private LAX terminal linked to his holding company. And every single one of his social media accounts, Instagram, X, Facebook, were just wiped completely blank. Not a single photo remains. He is gone. The man who never stops talking has vanished without a trace. Where is Kevin Hart, and more importantly, who got to him first? The digital space has completely devolved into an absolute war zone, and the global entertainment industry is experiencing a seismic fracture unlike anything seen in the modern era. Across X, Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube, the explosion of public reaction hasn't just broken records, it has physically choked the platform's algorithms. Every single second, tens of thousands of new posts flood the internet under the viral banner of hashtag #WhereIsKevin and hashtag #TheHallwayTape, turning this scandal into an unmanageable psychological obsession for millions of viewers worldwide. The public divide is deep, visceral, and increasingly hostile. On one side of the digital trenches, the hardcore Katt Williams loyalists are taking a massive, relentless victory lap. They are flooding the timelines with side-by-side comparisons, pitilessly matching the old clips of Kevin Hart bragging about his stadium tours against the horrific screenshots of him weeping in that cold hallway. One viral tweet, which racked up over 750,000 likes in a matter of 3 hours, completely summarized their sentiment. Katt Williams didn't just guess the future. He mathematically predicted the exact decay of the Hollywood elite. Kevin Hart spent a decade calling himself a king, but the second the corporate lights turned off, he showed everyone he was nothing but a fragile asset who couldn't even stand on his own 2 feet. The truth always wins. But on the flip side, a massive wave of intense pushback is mounting from Kevin Hart's global fanbase and a few remaining, highly defensive industry commentators. They aren't just shocked, they are absolutely outraged. This faction is aggressively branding the entire ambush as a calculated, mafia-style psychological execution. A prominent, verified Hollywood pop culture analyst sparked a massive firestorm by posting an intense, multi-part thread defending the comedian. What we are witnessing isn't an exposure. It is a brutal, coordinated psychological ambush. Cornering a grown man in a dark, isolated corridor with a group of intimidating, unknown figures with no security is a textbook terror tactic. Anyone's knees would give out under that level of immediate, suffocating panic. This is an orchestrated hit to destroy a legendary black entertainer's legacy, and the internet is celebrating it like a game. Meanwhile, the mainstream media outlets are frantically scrambling, stuck in a state of absolute panic because they cannot control the narrative. Major networks are holding emergency live panels, bringing on top-tier forensic body language experts, audio engineers, and psychological profilers to break down the leaked 45-second clip frame by agonizing frame. On a leaked audio snippet from a major entertainment news network's morning production meeting, a senior executive can be heard furiously shouting at producers, "I don't care if his team threatens to sue us into bankruptcy. Find out who those 4 men are, find out whose name Kevin screamed before the tape cut, and do not pull our anchors off the story." But the true, absolute terror of this scandal is vibrating behind the closed doors of Hollywood's elite inner circle. The silence coming from the A-list community is deafening, heavy, and completely terrifying. Kevin's closest blockbuster co-stars, people who regularly shared the screen with him, flew on private jets with him, and claimed to be his brothers in the industry, have completely vanished from the narrative. They aren't just ignoring his calls, they are actively erasing his existence. Sources inside a top-tier Beverly Hills talent agency have leaked that a sweeping, zero-tolerance directive was blasted to publicists across Los Angeles, stating in clear, chilling prose, "Under no circumstances is any client to comment on, like, or acknowledge any media related to the Kevin Hart situation. Do not offer sympathy, do not offer condemnation. The situation is highly volatile, and any association with the individual in question poses an immediate, catastrophic risk to corporate contracts and studio relationships." The industry is completely divided between those who believe Kevin is a tragic victim of a shadowy corporate loyalty test and those who believe he is a dangerous, compromised liability who is willing to burn down the entire Hollywood power structure just to save himself. Rumors are now circulating that several major consumer brands are quietly drafting emergency exit clauses to terminate their multi-million-dollar endorsement deals with Heartbeat Productions, effectively cutting off the financial lifeblood of Kevin's empire. The conversation is no longer about a simple comedy beef. It has evolved into a terrifying commentary on power, betrayal, and survival in the upper echelons of fame. The public is screaming for answers. The studios are desperately trying to protect their dark secrets, and the hater versus supporter rhetoric is reaching a dangerous fever pitch. But amid all the chaotic noise, the frantic theories, and the social media warfare, one haunting reality remains completely undisputed. Hollywood is absolutely terrified of what happens if the rest of that tape is released to the public, because the fracture has already begun, and nobody knows who is going to be dragged into the light next. For 48 agonizing hours, Katt Williams had been an absolute ghost. He didn't drop an explosive emergency podcast. He didn't issue a gloating press statement. He just sat back in total silence and let the internet tear Kevin Hart apart piece by bloody piece. But late last night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., Katt Williams' official Instagram account posted something that stopped the entire entertainment industry dead in its tracks. It wasn't a 20-minute video rant. It wasn't a long, detailed caption. It was a single, cryptic, terrifying image. The post was a pitch-black screen, and dead in the center, typed in stark white text, were just 4 bone-chilling words. "You only saw half." Beneath the text, in the caption, Katt tagged Kevin Hart directly and wrote, "They thought the crying was the worst part. They haven't seen what you offered them to survive. TikTok Kev." The internet exploded all over again, and a cold wave of panic is currently ripping through the highest floors of Hollywood's executive suites. Because the dark web sources who verified the initial leak have just confirmed something absolutely horrifying. The footage we all saw, the 45 seconds of Kevin shivering, crying, and begging on his knees, was cut short on purpose. There is a part 2. According to these anonymous, highly embedded sources, the second half of the video captures the exact moment Kevin Hart, in a state of absolute, frantic desperation, offered his ambushers a trade. Rumors are swirling at an uncontrollable speed that Kevin offered to hand over a heavily encrypted flash drive, a drive containing the explicit names, dates, and secret financial records of the shadow executives who allegedly orchestrate blackballing campaigns against independent Black creators in Hollywood. He didn't just break down. He allegedly offered to sell out the entire elite hierarchy of the entertainment industry just to buy his own freedom. If this second video actually drops, it won't just end Kevin Hart's career. It will bring down untouchable studio heads. It will destroy A-list actors who have spent decades curating their pristine images. It will trigger the most catastrophic Hollywood scandal of the 21st century. Kevin Hart is no longer just a humiliated comedian. He is a ticking time bomb holding the darkest, most radioactive secrets of the industry. And Katt Williams' finger is hovering right over the detonator. Will Katt release part 2? Will Kevin's remaining powerful allies silence him before the absolute truth comes out? Or is Kevin Hart preparing to expose everything himself in one final, suicidal career move? The countdown has officially begun, and the fallout is going to be biblical. Here at Spilled Bars, we are digging relentlessly into our sources to track down that second tape. The Hollywood machine is actively trying to bury this story, but the truth is already bleeding out. You're not going to want to blink because what comes next will shatter everything you thought you knew.
I need to hear from you right now.
Drop into the comments and tell me, is Kevin Hart a tragic victim of a terrifying, mafia-style ambush, or is he finally paying the ultimate price for selling his soul to the Hollywood machine? And more importantly, whose name do you think is on that hidden flash drive? The entire industry is shaking, and the clock is ticking down to zero. We are actively tracking the dark web for the Part 2 leak, and the absolute second it drops, we are posting it right here. You need to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on all notifications because you cannot afford to miss what happens next. The Hollywood empire is collapsing, and Spilled Bars is bringing you a front row seat to the demolition.
Stay tuned.